their daily reality overwhelm them, and it become all they know. I know for some people it's not easy, especially if you do not have the footstep to walk back. I understand that, and I also understand even some people, they know the history, they just accept the present as a norm. Freedom of the mind will take time to explain the power of meditation. Now, some people misunderstand meditation by simply following other people, like close your eye and mambo jumbo and gibberish things in your mouth. You have to be led by the Spirit. What I mean, you can only achieve the best through your ancestors. If anybody tell you otherwise, that's just a modern day, quack meditation. Because meditation was to deal with your inner self. It was a way for you to be able to walk back to the past based on what you understand. And when you do that, then the ability to be led by your ancestors, which is you, in fact, because the blood of thousands and millions of years, the fact that you even exist today should at least make you to sit down and start thinking. Put two and two together. Think about when you were a little child. Parents gave birth to you. Your grandparents gave birth to your parents. Your great-grandparents gave birth to your grandparents. And the story goes back. The fact that you exist today as a human being it's a testament that you exist from the beginning. For some reason, humans have been taking advantage of Humans have been brainwashed for thousands of years. The question you should be asking, what is the purpose of all the brainwash and misdirection that humans have been facing, especially the black race? I know some would say, yeah, it's always about black race. Think back throughout what's so-called civilization as we know today. Who suffer more? Is that the slave master and his descendant? Or the black race? You be the judge and tell me. We have been given a new identity. Just for the sake of political correctness, I use the word black because nobody is black. I'm not black. And nobody is white. We all know what black looks like, and we all know what white looks like. Do you think the label of human identity was for the benefit of humanity? Please, before we go further, do not possess any degree of, know-it-all. I'm a student, and I wake up every day and I learn. I do not claim any higher ground than any other person. But what I do understand and what is true, I exist. And it's not a belief. Do not curve to belief. Now we might have different way of doing things, but when it comes to who I am, I do not believe I have the knowledge of myself and who I am. The whole world, especially the black race, have been duped to submission, have been duped to accept things that have nothing to do with their life, neither their past nor their future. But the question I always ask, who benefited from all the mayhem, all the confusion? As a black man, no matter how great you are, you have to gain an approval from the slave master. And what they say you are is what you are. First, they call you black, you accept that you're black. And the slave master call themselves white, and you believe. Without even looking, taking a look and say, wait a minute, we all know what white look like, we all know what black look like. I mean, this is something that is so simple that even without possessing any higher consciousness, you should be able to differentiate that this is done for a purpose. And whenever they want to attribute black, they attribute it with something that is not positive. You have to be black male. You have to be black ball. And the popular known, the devil itself, big black man with the horn, always got defeated by the white angels. I'm not saying what I'm saying to denigrate white people, because there are few good ones. But the fact that some of them cannot even speak all the things that is going on around the world, mainly because they are being caged, just like it was in those days. If you think back to the 17th, 18th, 16th century, any white man that dare challenge the authority in support of a black person was to be taught a lesson. In fact, they hanged them in public just to send the message to the rest that you should not dare try. And this is what the slave master was doing. It's not that some of them, even those that owned slaves, didn't have human mind. At least a little bit sympathy that they could have changed the course of history. But but they were bullied and silent, and they just fear of dying. And you're still gonna die. The consciousness of freedom of the mind explain death is inevitable. We are all going to die. If you don't do what is right, which side are you on? If you can simply point out what is wrong, which side are you on? For some reason, human beings have been caged by the slave master. It's funny how some people that call themselves brilliant cannot even decode simple code. They see it every day, whether it's in television, whether it's in the news. So-called spiritual people. Everywhere you look, the code is there in plain field. Some of them is not even hidden. But people just play along and don't even understand that they are selling their soul to the devil. I mean, I don't mean literally the devil, the spooky one, because the spooky one, in my humble opinion, it doesn't exist. You see the devil every day. The demons are everywhere. They are in your playground. They are in the television. Even so-called the house of worship. They are everywhere. But humans just refuse because they are afraid to die. Until every single conscious human wakes up and tell the truth as it is. Doesn't matter whether you're a white man, black man. If you possess some knowledge of consciousness and you do not wake up and speak out, the ground is waiting for you. and you will keep be recycled. Conscious will understand what recycle is. Ask yourself, do you want to be recycled? You know, when religion came to dominate and corrupt what was our ancestors' way of life, they tell you heaven, they tell you hell. But yet, have you ever asked yourself a question? Why so many people wants to go to heaven? But the moment they seek, they're afraid of dying. In fact, the thought of death terrifying them. Why is that? Is it because the mind has been conditioned that way? To simply take what is natural to make it as unnatural as possible. And then take something that is unnatural, make it natural as far as the eye can see. And I ask again, who benefit? Who is profiting from the human or the black race fiasco? It doesn't matter where you go on earth, where a society control, well, so-called control by a black man, there's no progress. The question the conscious people supposed to ask is, why is that? Thousands of years ago, is that how our ancestors lived? When I mean thousands of years, we're talking about 50, 70,000 years ago. And why is it uncertain just in the last, would I say, 3,000 years? Or the last 3,500 years? Human mind become heavily controlled. And it's not getting better every day. The black race in particular. is that? I invite every conscious person, or even the non conscious, to try to devote yourself in some form of meditation. Then you understand what I'm talking about. Because you have to be led. See what I'm talking about. Few things you can see with naked eyes, but there's a lot that you cannot see with your naked eyes. As I'm sitting in the dark of the night, spewing out the message. Don't lock it. So, as my son interrupted me, he thought I left the door open, but he didn't know I was still on a conscious joining. So I'm going to cut it here. The message I'm trying to send this night is not to discourage. It's not a doom message. It's the message of so-called hope. Whatever color you are attributed to. It's time for the conscious wall to take their place, their rightful place, and do the needful. Because only then we can truly free ourselves physically, mentally, and otherwise. You know, some of the code is just simple resistance. There are things you should resist, no matter how glamour those things are being presented to you. You have to have consciousness of resistance. That's how you're going to be able to walk yourself to a higher consciousness. You have to be able to resist certain things. What I mean, think about, always ask question. If something is present to you. Ask yourself, what benefit is it to you? And search everything that is being presented. Just start with self-preservation.